The following presentation is a gift from the team at Streamline Publishing, publishers of Fine Art Connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine, and weekly newsletters Fine Art Today, Realism Today, Plein Air Today, and American Watercolor, and events the Plein Air Convention and the Figurative Art Convention. We offer over 400 different art instruction tutorials and ultra high-quality video by the world's leading artists. If you like what you see, help us support our artists and our team with your purchase. Each video aired has a special discount code for today only in the comments section with a link to the video offered. And to see everything we do, or if you want to receive notice of new releases, new products, and new events for artists, simply click the other link, which says, "See everything we do." Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric Rhodes with Plein Air and Fine Art Connoisseur magazines, and I am enamored with painting and learning about watercolor. I'm an oil painter, but I really wanted to learn about watercolor and that technique because I want to start traveling with watercolors. So I sought out the best, one of the greatest artists on earth, Keiko Tanabe. This is about painting sunlight.
Hi, I'm Keiko Tanabe. Thank you for joining me. Today I find myself in West Austin, Texas in a beautiful vineyard right in front of me. I have this beautiful building. It makes me feel like I'm somewhere in Tuscany, Italy, to see this Italian style villa and the vineyard behind me. And it's surrounded by beautiful trees and flowers and such a lovely day. So today I'm going to paint this building with all the trees around it on my sheet of paper that I prepared right here. But first of all, I'd like to show you what I'm using. Outside, I usually have this system, the whole system, with a tripod and everything in my backpack, and I just take it out, and it just takes me a few minutes to set up. It's very easy. So I have the paper sitting on top of my tripod, which I prepared like this. I have masking tape on all sides just to stretch the paper. I didn't wet the paper, just the tape. And today I'm using 20 by 14. That's the size I typically use when I work outside. And the paper, a little bit about my paper, I like little texture. So today I chose rough paper, and sometimes I use cold press, which is also textured but less, a little less. Next, I like to show you my palette. This is what I use when I paint outside, which is very light and compact. It's perfect for traveling. And I have anywhere from 10 to 14 colors usually, and I filled each well with a different color like this. So actually today I have 14 colors, and I will try to mention the colors that I use as I paint. But they are very limited. My palette is very limited. And then usually the three primaries on one side, and then the few opaque colors or the special colors that I like on the other side. So I mainly work with this side, the colors on this side. And I have a few yellows and a few reds and a few blues and browns. On this side I have a few colors, and one of which is white. I'd like to tell you a little bit about white. In watercolor painting, for that strong light highlight, I usually paint it with no color in it. So in other words, we have to paint around those lights, highlights, and we don't usually put white there. We just have to show the whiteness of the paper for the highlight. So for that, that's what I do too. And then why do I have white? It's because I use it sometimes. Frankly, I paint very fast. Sometimes I paint over the little highlights. So if that's the case, then I have to use white at the end. If it's a small spot, I have no problem with it. So that's one reason. Another time, when I need to create opaque color that I don't have in my palette, I use white and then mix it with another color that I pick. So that's another reason. So it comes in handy. I try not to use it too much, but I do use it sometimes. So opaque colors, some of the opaque colors too, I do use it, but not too much. I usually dilute it so they will look more transparent on the paper. So that's my palette, and I usually hold it in my hand like this as I paint. And the last thing I like to tell you about my brushes. I don't have many brushes. Usually I just use maybe 2 or 3. But when I start, this is a brush I use. I like the size, which is quite big. This is number 20 round brush. It's synthetic, but it's quite soft and absorbent. This is the kind of brush I need to start with, because what I do in the beginning is the big first wash. I lay down the wash from top to bottom on one side to another, and using a big strokes and fill the paper with the minimal strokes with the different colors. And the only thing I don't put any color in is the highlight. I need to paint around. So usually this brush will do, just this one, nothing else. And after that, when the first wash is finished, I start putting in details. For that, I need a variety of brushes depending on what I want to do, depending on the kind of brush stroke I need. So I have a different type right here. The first one is synthetic. It's quite big, but it has a very fine point. So I can do almost all the detailed work with this one alone. And the second one is kind of like the first brush I showed you. This one, it's absorbent, quite soft, but it's I like this a lot, and so I might use this in the first wash as well, same type. And then the few others. The first one is calligraphy brush, and next one is a liner for fine line or some textured marks. So I will show you when I use them. So this is what I normally carry. And nothing else, and this is all can be put in my backpack, and so I can hike a mile or 2 with no problem. And then the few other things that might be useful is a spray bottle like this. Sometimes I spray my painting for some textures, or sometimes I spray my palette. As you can imagine, outside everything dries so quickly, so I have to especially keep the pigments moist. So this it's very important for me. And so I like to start painting. First of all, as a composition, because I use usually this paper, 14 by 20, I can do anything horizontally or vertically. So I think about the composition first. And to do this scene, probably it's a landscape. You might think in the horizontal format, but sometimes the vertical format, if you use that, the portrait format, you can have a very dynamic composition. So I usually think about the 2 possibilities. So to do this, actually, I did a little sketch beforehand on the sketch pad. So using portrait format, so I was thinking maybe this might be more interesting than the typical landscape format. So I think for this painting, I will use this, the vertical, the portrait format. So I secure the paper with a clip in case of wind, and I will have my sketch by my side to refer to it as I draw. So I usually draw before I paint. So using this pencil, it's called the drafting pencil, and it's inside there's lead, that's 4B. So it can make a quite dark line because it's very soft. But usually my drawing is not that dark, and it's very simple. Actually, I don't draw everything. all I draw is a simple composition, and then I mark where I want to show the contrast. So there are a lot of thinking that goes into it. Even before I draw, I have to know the tones and the contrast. So that's where I need to mark with my pencil, where I see the light and then it's dark next to it. That's definitely a spot where I need to mark. So that's very important for me. And also another thing, the drawing is it's really the foundation of a painting, so it has to look good already, especially the watercolor painting. And it's very difficult, and most of the time impossible to change the composition as you paint. So it has to look already good before you begin. So that's why I always try to sketch beforehand, and I strongly recommend to all of my students do that. But anyway, I will start drawing with this scene in front of me. It's beautiful, but it's also very complicated. There are a lot of things, so it's the first thing I had to do is to simplify, to really determine what's really important, what's the essence of this scene that I need to capture in my painting. So a lot of things I need to eliminate, of course, and maybe even move things around for a better composition so that the light travels in my painting and it floats from one end to the other. So for that end, I think my sketching is okay. I will almost copy what I did in my sketch, so I don't have to ponder for a long time on staring at the sheet of paper here. And so the building, I'm going to sort of determine the size in this painting by drawing very lightly. Actually, what I'm trying to do is to visualize the result of my painting and then try to see the image as a finished painting. And then when the image is clear enough, and I draw that image. So it's very important, probably the most important part of the painting process for me to be able to see that. So I'm trying to see, concentrating a lot, and then try not to make too many lines. But before I'm 100% sure, I may be making more lines than I actually use or keep, but that's fine, because the drawing should be perfect, because I can't change my mind afterwards. Even if I have to try several times to perfect it, it's a necessary part. So it's very important. Plus, the building is always difficult. Perspective is something we all struggle. So I want to get that right. Yeah, I really like the main part of this building, and then I'm not going to try to show this side of the entrance, the tower, too much. I'll be just suggesting things. But mainly the front of the buildings, this and then the part next to it, on the right hand side, I like to show and do a little bit more detailed drawing. So, and there's another tower that's next to it. From where I am, I don't really see it very clearly. Actually, it's partially hidden behind the first one. I might make a little change here and then separate the two. So the next one will stand alone. And also here, I'm simplifying the roof a little bit. This way. So this is a part I don't really see from where I am. I'm just using my sketch. So there's a little arch opening, and I made inside quite dark, and I'm actually planning to show the pencil marks, so I don't really have to paint there. And then, as I'm sure, I will start darkening the final lines, but before that, I might be making more lines, which may seem unnecessary, but to find the right one, sometimes I do this. So the part that I like, I'm drawing. So like windows, but some other things I may have to eliminate or just suggest without showing too much. And actually, the lights on right now, I quite like that. So that's what I'm trying to show by circling beforehand. Something like this. So that's enough details. I think the rest of the buildings, mainly the first floor, should be quite simplified. And that's what I'm trying to do. And this side, a few minutes ago when I walked around, there's a fountain and also the few umbrellas. So I think just to add some colors besides green, I will maybe show some umbrellas, which is red. Otherwise, from where I am, all I see is just green. So it's a bit too much. So I'm going to show a little spot of bright red behind trees. So that's that. And then here I see potted plants and flowers, and then also few spots of bright colors that I like to show. And then the path coming towards me, that I need to have maybe some trees that is planted like this. So that's from what I see, all the things I want to draw. But other things that's not there. Sometimes I add things if it helps, if it makes sense or adds more interest. If this is fine, but if I feel like it's missing something, like a focal point. Of course, anything can be a focal point, but if I create something else to show the big contrast, that's always a good idea to add something, especially if a painting needs something strong as a focal point. At this point, I put a few figures here, trying to make them my focal point, because otherwise it's nice, but there are many things that are equally interesting, and then actually they compete with each other. So it's not a good thing. So I have to pick something to be the strongest area of interest as a focal point. So to me, these people would do. So I'm just comparing my sketch or my drawing and right here, and also the reality, if there's anything that I would like to add or to have, need to have in my drawing. So I won't make a mistake. I have to do that now. Otherwise, I think I'm ready to paint. So yeah, I feel like I have enough pencil marks, so it's ready to go. Okay, so now that the drawing is in, I am ready to paint. Usually the area where I paint first, it could be anywhere actually. Sometimes I start from the sky, sometimes I start from the very bottom or the mid-ground. Doesn't really matter, because the reason is I don't really use dark values from the beginning. I start with the color, any color that's very diluted, so the value will be light. So the only thing I have to remember in the beginning is if there's anything that I need to paint around to show the whiteness of the paper, I have to paint around it. So I have to remind myself at this point, so I don't put any color there. But for this painting, I don't really think so, except for maybe the sky. Now, it was gray just a few minutes ago. Now the blue sky came back and with the white clouds. So maybe that's something I need to show a little bit of white. Otherwise, I feel like I can put colors everywhere, and I should. So that's the only thing I have to remember. Otherwise, I just put colors everywhere, and then start from wherever I want. And probably I just picked the yellow, so I'm going to start from here. Because for some reason those lights I like so much, begging me to paint first, so I did that. So I'll just soften. Like that. And then while I'm there, maybe I will just paint the things around them. Like I said, I'm going to put some red umbrellas peeking through the trees over there. And then the colors of the buildings, I'm using yellow ochre. It's very typical Italian buildings, the color of the Italian buildings. So like this. So this yellow ochre, I'm going actually around the windows. I don't mean to keep it white, but at this moment I'm going to just do this. And also, while I have this color, yellow ochre, maybe I'm going to just put it in the footpath that I see in front of me. Yeah, at this point, I don't really want to show too many details, so I just use big brush and make broad, brush strokes and to cover the entire sheet as quickly as possible. I think this color, and also in this composition, this creates a nice passage of light. This is a nice lead-in. But since it's so big in this composition, I need to make little changes so it won't look too flat. So I darken this corner a little bit with a different color. I use burnt umber on top of yellow ochre, and also maybe a few spots splattering. Yeah, this is another different color. It's alizarin. I may be covering some of the spots I created, but as long as it's wet, I can try again. And I just, covered all the spots. But like I said, you can try again. As long as paper is wet, or you can re-wet the paper to show those spots. So between the house and the footpath, there are lots of things I need to show with a different color. And the first maybe are these spots of bright yellow, lemon yellow. Okay, so the first I'm gonna put some plants, the bright yellow, lemon yellow, and I'm looking at the potted plants and flowers and try to see the colors, different colors that I like to use. I see some purple flower on my left, and that's nice, and so I'm throwing in to show something a little bit closer to me. And way in the back, and I see some pink flowers. And of course, leaves, some greens, very randomly, but I'm trying to keep all the colors in this section. Well, this too, I can splatter. And here, again, splattering. And then the buildings, covered with ivy. I think to do that is a bit too much, so maybe with the colors I will show that, but nothing much. And I like to keep the buildings rather quiet, rather simple. Because down below where I'm showing the flowers and plants, and then also people, it's going to look a little bit busy. So everything on both sides should be quiet. So now I'm ready to do the sky. I'm going to dry this area a little bit. So I think today the look of sky changes quite rapidly. Now I see more gray, but I think I like to show a little sunny look. So first I'm just wetting the sky area just above the building. And for the blue, I mainly use cobalt blue with a touch of lavender. And just randomly on the dry paper, show the blue part, and the rest will be the clouds. So like I said, this is the only area that I'm going to show white. So I cut around the buildings. At this point, I painted around the buildings nicely, and using blue actually to show the shape of the roof. And now I'm going to do the roof. That is it's orange. I'm mixing cadmium red and the Windsor orange. be a little bit darker. Just keeping it bright. I'm painting knowing that this blue I just painted in the sky might come down inside the roof because I didn't let it dry before I put this roof. But that's fine, it's all planned, and I don't, actually I like it that way. So there won't be a clear separation, total separation between sky and the roof. So I'm going to just bring it down because I'm going to darken that side of the building. But I have to make sure the blue doesn't come down inside the roof too much. So I'm making the paper a little flat, so in order to stop the flow. And I know I haven't painted another tower, and which I will do. But right now the sky is still wet. I like to dry a little bit so I can paint this tower without worrying about the color going outside into the sky area. So right now I will stop painting that area, and then maybe where I started in the mid-ground, and I'm just touching it to see how wet the paper is. Still a little damp, but that's a good time if I need anything in the area with a soft edge. This is a good time. So I'm asking myself, is there anything? Well, actually, my plan is to sort of darken the first floor of the building, and then this is a good time. And then because I didn't want to show too much hard edge, I'm just gonna go around the lights. And this is something that needs a lot of courage to do. Whenever we start using dark value, it's scary for some reason. So, because we're not using a lot of water, that scares us. But we have to do this to create a nice contrast. Plus, in the watercolor, as you may know, when it's wet, always looks darker. And as it dries, you can start seeing the value becoming lighter and lighter. So when it's wet, it's already looking light. It's going to dry so light, and you will have to put more pigment later to darken it. And if you have to do that so many times, the painting will lose the energy, vibrancy, and also the luminosity may be gone too. And then also that it's going to look overworked and sometimes muddy. There's no good thing happening. I just made a mistake. I put the dark inside the light. But like I said, and accidents happen, and the important thing is to take care of it when it happens before it dries. Worst thing we can do is just leave it doing nothing and then try to fix it later on. That's something we shouldn't do. So whenever there's something that's not expected, just pause and then think what you can do to solve the problem. Yeah, no need to panic. So the strokes I'm putting in right now is where I'm going to put the trees. So I'm not going to do it right now, but I need to sort of decide and tell me where they are. So I darken the lower part of the building quite a bit, but it's not the darkest. I'm going to use a darker value inside the arches. So I I make sure those darks are also inside the arches. And also, not just the buildings, also inside the things that are in front of the buildings, inside the plants and flowers, that's what I'm talking about. And to create a nice continuous flow of darks. So now, well, the sky is still wet, surprisingly, so I'm going to wait a little bit to put color there. I keep working here then. And I know that I didn't do the grass yet. Maybe it's a good time to do that. And just to show the pathways. And also this green can be inside the potted plants and vegetation on both sides. So I'm going to quickly fit in this large shape. So I just put the grass on both sides of the pathway that's leading up to the house or the restaurant. Well, actually, I am not trying to change the look too much, but I want to keep the green over there, and then the color of the pathways on this side. But the edge, I felt it's a little bit too much from the corner to all the way to the end. It's hard and it's long, and so I softened it, and then just create a nice, more natural flow without separating both. I think that helps. Yeah, but the foreground, I decided to use a vertical format, so making the foreground quite big. So, but at the same time, I don't want to paint too much here. I want to paint it very simply. This is where I need to think how to do it, most minimalistic way. So maybe I can go back. This needs to dry, so I'll go back and then finish that area. So to complete the building, I will do this with yellow ochre, which I use beforehand, the rest of the building. Yeah, actually, I should have shown the sky color inside the opening, but it can be done afterwards. Just have to show the same look. It's not too blue, it's almost white, so it may be okay like this. I just got lucky. And then the roof, I mixed orange and then red. Same mixture. This time sky is drier, so I shouldn't worry too much. Like that.
Hey, would you like to win a beautiful painting worth almost $3,000? We've got a beautiful Joe McGurl plein air study that he's done of the sunset in Maine. It's gorgeous. If you want to have an opportunity to win it, go to paintinggiveaway.com. Just put in your email. That's all you've got to do, and you only need to enter once. We'll be giving away the prize at the end of May. Go to paintinggiveaway.com.
In Painting Sunlight, highly talented artist and sought-after workshop instructor Keiko Tanabe helps you overcome two big challenges. Painting in watercolor, which has a reputation for being unforgiving and hard to handle, and painting outdoors, which brings its own set of challenges with light and weather changes, as well as making sure you have all the right tools and materials you need. When painting nature, there's so much to choose from, it's easy to wonder what you should capture in a detailed scene and what you should leave out. Keiko shows you how to decide, based on the elements that will bring value and quality to your paintings. Keiko demonstrates how she brings in the natural light, so that it flows all throughout the painting. You'll see how the lights and darks create interest and atmosphere to help dramatize the story you want to tell in your work. In her own paintings, Keiko takes her viewers beyond landscapes and uses them as settings for people who occupy those spaces. She loves adding little slices of life that bring drama and interest, an idea you'll embrace as you progress in your skills. Keiko will take you through two beautiful demonstration paintings. One, a moody vineyard, and the other, a colorful villa. Both will inspire confidence and encouragement for working with the sometimes difficult medium of watercolor. Don't miss your chance to study with one of today's best watercolor artists as she shares her most successful techniques that will help make your paintings better. Soon, you'll be able to identify the essence of a scene and then simplify it in order to tell the story you want to tell in the painting. You'll be making deliberate editing choices so your paintings aren't too busy or cluttered, and you'll know what to focus on and what to let go of.
My way of simplifying each subject each time is different, but if you can get some idea how I do it, that's great.
You'll enjoy your painting time more because you'll be creating higher quality paintings that will captivate your viewers and compel them to learn more about you and the stories your paintings tell.
If my video encourages even one person to go outside and paint, I think my mission is complete.
Painting Sunlight, available on DVD or digital format to view on your computer, tablet, or smartphone.
Well, that was Painting Sunlight with Keiko Tanabe. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to lilyartvideo.com. Now let's interview Keiko.
I started painting full-time 2005. That's the year when I quit my job, day job, which was not art. I was a marketing person, an international law firm, and to paint. And so that was the beginning as a professional, the full-time painter. But even before that, I played the sketching, drawing, painting. I used all kinds of things, so just for fun. When I was 6 years old, my parents signed me up for children's art contest, which was outside. And I didn't know about it. And I just went because my parents told me, and painted in the mountain. It was a springtime. It was such a pleasant experience, and I loved it. And then best of all, I got an award, which was a nice box of crayons and a drawing board. I was so thrilled. And so after that, every time, whenever there's a plein air contest or competition, I just went. And then by doing that often, I became more and more fond of being outside to paint. So I think that's really the beginning of my plein air artist life. And I had to confess that I like being outside. So in a way, because of that, I chose landscape as my favorite subject. But second of all, the landscape, for me, it's people, more about the people. I'm interested in how people live and just trying to depict the daily slice of life. I think people know me as a landscape painter. I do natural landscape, but more than that, I like cityscapes. I like depicting people's daily lives, and so wherever I can find people, it doesn't have to be hustle bustle of the big city. That becomes automatically my favorite subject. But also because I like people, I'm very attracted to, and also do quite often, just for fun, the portraits, the figures, not the landscape. So, and in the future, I like to do more of that. But at this moment, I think people know me as a landscape artist. I describe my style of painting as impressionistic. And it's not abstract, it's not realism, it's a little bit of both. I'm not really interested in photorealism. I like the simplicity of an impressionistic style, and it's just to catch the essence of a scene or whatever I'm painting. I have to paint that way, and not to show everything, but just the important thing. Others just the suggestion. When I go outside to paint, I don't really have anything in mind. I just pick a place, or maybe I see something, and then I start walking around and try to soak it in, try to feel the air, to see the light. Whatever speaks to me, that's what the first thing that speaks to me, that's what I paint. But most of the time I found that is the contrast. I'm more attracted to the light and dark, interplay of both, more than anything, more than colors, more than the beautiful flowers or the historical monuments. And so it's the light. I try to visualize when I start the kind of image I want to create. I need to see that, and then that's what I try to paint. So if the image is clear, sometimes it's not. I know that's where I need to get. That's my destination. Of course, there are many ways to get there, and the process. I can even call it a journey. Is not easy, but at least I know my goal, my destination. So that no matter what happens between the beginning and the finish line, it doesn't really matter. I just need to get there. So that's if I can have that strong inspiration, strong image in the beginning to start with, I can be sure that the result will be quite satisfactory. No matter what the subject I choose, my painting approach is quite the same. It's from beginning to finish, and I follow the similar approach each time. When I stand in front of my paper, staring at the blank sheet of paper, I like to see the finished painting there, even before I put a drawing there. And then I try to visualize, taking in the inspiration, try to interpret it in my own way, and then create an image in my mind, and then try to project it, to visualize it, and then project it on the paper. So of course I have to have a composition to begin with, and then I do think about several important things to build a painting on top of it. The number one, that's values. It's extremely important for me to know where the lights are, and the rest is dark. Number two, edges. I try to assign a certain part for hard edges and the rest soft edges. Try to create a balance between the two. And another thing is, I don't draw everything, but I do think about all the important elements that I would like to show at the end of the painting. So the preliminary work, the mental work, I try to finish when I'm drawing. I do the first wash without details. Even during the first wash, it's not just putting colors. I try to establish value pattern, light and dark. Maybe not the darkest is not in yet. And also textures. I try to do as much as I can during the first stage, and then the rest will be just putting details. So the image is already there. Maybe blurry, little blurry. Not many small shapes are defined, but the image is already there. So all the colors and the values and even edges are already established, and then the feel I want to create, the mood I want to capture is already emerging. So that's when I know that it's time to put in details to finish. I know my painting is finished when I see the image I started out with when I try to visualize my painting in my drawing. I think after trying most of the mediums out there, I chose watercolor. Is because first I was looking for something easy to travel with. I'm a traveler all my life, so I wanted to start sketching when I'm on the road. So the watercolors seem to be the easiest, to take with me. And I found out it was not the easiest to work with, but that's the first reason. Another reason is that some of the brush techniques are a little similar to calligraphy I used to do when I was a child. This medium has a mind of its own. It's if you are deep into it, if you do this, you probably have developed a love-hate relationship. And I do too. I love it and I hate it. I love it because because of the elusive quality, and you never know what happens. You're working with water, so I love that part. But at the same time, it's a huge headache because it's impossible to control water, and you just have to work with it and it's just not to fight it. So that push and pull, that's what I feel like. And when I work with the watercolor, it has to be. You have to just find the rhythm. If you push, and then after that you pull, and then if you find the rhythm while you're painting, I think the result will be good. If I can communicate through my video the joy of planet painting, that would be fantastic. Because I like it so much. Just being outside makes me happy, but to be able to paint what inspires me outside it's just incredible experience. So if my video encourages even one person to go outside and paint, I think my mission is complete.
That was Keiko Tanabe and Painting Sunlight. If you want to learn more about it, you can find it at lilyartvideo.com. Thanks for watching today. I'm Eric Rhodes.
In Painting Sunlight, highly talented artist and sought-after workshop instructor Keiko Tanabe helps you overcome two big challenges: painting in watercolor, which has a reputation for being unforgiving and hard to handle, and painting outdoors, which brings its own set of challenges with light and weather changes, as well as making sure you have all the right tools and materials you need. When painting nature, there's so much to choose from, it's easy to wonder what you should capture in a detailed scene and what you should leave out. Keiko shows you how to decide based on the elements that will bring value and quality to your paintings. Keiko demonstrates how she brings in the natural light so that it flows all throughout the painting. You'll see how the lights and darks create interest and atmosphere to help dramatize the story you want to tell in your work. In her own paintings, Keiko takes her viewers beyond landscapes and uses them as settings for people who occupy those spaces. She loves adding little slices of life that bring drama and interest, an idea you'll embrace as you progress in your skills. Keiko will take you through two beautiful demonstration paintings. One, a moody vineyard, and the other, a colorful villa. Both will inspire confidence and encouragement for working with the sometimes difficult medium of watercolor. Don't miss your chance to study with one of today's best watercolor artists as she shares her most successful techniques that will help make your paintings better. Soon, you'll be able to identify the essence of a scene and then simplify it in order to tell the story you want to tell in the painting. You'll be making deliberate editing choices so your paintings aren't too busy or cluttered, and you'll know what to focus on and what to let go of.
My way of simplifying each subject each time is different, but if you can get some idea how I do it, that's great.
You'll enjoy your painting time more because you'll be creating higher quality paintings that will captivate your viewers and compel them to learn more about you and the stories your paintings tell.
If my video encourages even one person to go outside and paint, I think my mission is complete.
Painting Sunlight, available on DVD or digital format to view on your computer, tablet, or smartphone.